Hello and welcome to AAA Reviews. I'm Alex and today I am going to be reviewing the Marvel superheroes from 1990 by ToyBiz. However, I am going to give you a bit of toy history today, guys, because this particular figure line has Charon on the box. This particular figure is a Charon one, and you're probably wondering, well, who are Charon? Well, if you are, I'm going to give you the history behind that right now. So in the 1800s, the Zuckerman family had a company called Chartex Incorporated, and in the late 1980s, or mid 1980s should I say, they merged with Takeman Ramadin's marketing to become Charan Incorporated. And Charan Incorporated were making things for school equipment, that kind of thing, but they also had a toy branch, and they had 9 of the 10 top licenses of the time, including the Cabbage Patch Kids, so they were a pretty big deal. But the owner at the time did not see the value in the licensing and decided to sell that part of the company off, and so in comes Ike Perlmutter, who founded ToyBiz and took over Charon. Now, the reason why we've still got some of the ToyBiz action figures with Charon on, I believe, and this is just my personal opinion, if you've already got a well-established brand such as Charon, you continue to use it, same as they were using Tyco in Europe, because we've got ToyBiz figures with Tyco on, because they were a well-trusted brand that had been around for a long time. Now this went on to around 1993, and then everything became ToyBiz, and everything that was distributed, whether it be in Europe, Canada or America, all had the ToyBiz logos on. So there's a bit of a history around Charon and who they are, and these are pretty rare if you find the Charon logo. There was those X-Men boxes which consisted of 4 action figures in a box just wrapped in cellophane. They were released only up in Canada, and they have the Charon logo on, so they're always good to look out for if you can find them. I personally don't own them. Some of my friends have them. They are pretty rare, but there is the story around Charon and everything else. In 1993, guys, Avi Avid, he joined ToyBiz. He ended up sculpting 160 figures for ToyBiz. He was also responsible for bringing all the animated series to the TV screen in order to boost sales of the figures, and he's also responsible for bringing movies, Marvel movies, to the screen, such as Blade and your early sort of movies as well, and basically things went really big from there. How are they responsible for doing such things? Well, you have to go back to 1996, when 2 tycoons were fighting over Marvel. Marvel was facing bankruptcy. Loads of comic shops up and down the country in America were shutting down. It was a really bad time for Marvel. These 2 tycoons were wrestling for control to take over Marvel, and basically Ike Perlmutter and Avi Avid took them to court and wrestled the company away, because they obviously had a vested interest in their business because they were making the toys for Marvel. And so ToyBiz saved Marvel from bankruptcy, and then they ended up merging together. So there is a bit of history for you. The book you'll want to read about Comic Wars is this one here by Dan Ravivi. I do think that's how it's pronounced. I'm sorry if it isn't. A great book. It's definitely really cool to learn up on the history of these kind of things, because nothing is ever safe. There's no such thing as blue chip and safety. I often see other YouTubers going, oh yeah, this is blue chip comics and blah 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 blah. No. Guys, always be careful when you're investing in collectibles, because anything can happen in these markets, and so it's always best to err on the side of caution. I buy these figures because I love the nostalgia, the toy history of them, and I just enjoy collecting them, but they're never going to bring me massive fortunes. It's just not going to happen, because why? You've got new toy lines now like the Legends by Hasbro, that basically are surpassing what came before. But these are still important to me because they're, like I say, history and nostalgia and what I had as a child. The next generation coming up, are they going to be interested in them? Possibly not, but still, it's just something I collect. That's what I'm trying to get across to you. I don't collect it for money and value. Even though I give you prices, guys, that's just to add something to my channel, so you can sort of say, oh, so that's what it's costing at the moment, and that's what people are asking for at the moment. It just adds to my channel, but it's not necessarily something I'm very much concerned with at the end of the day. Right, with all that said, if you're enjoying this video today, please hit that like, please hit that subscribe, please turn on those notifications. I would really appreciate it. Let's jump into this review. Let's start with the red, white and blue Captain America himself. Let's take a close look at this figure. I mean, it is a basic 90s figure in a lot of ways. We've got basic articulation just in the knees there. There's a joint, and the elbows are literally no joints at all. We can move the shoulders up and down, and of course he comes with a gimmick where he can fire off that shield from his shield launcher, which all ToyBiz figures had gimmicks, which is really cool. This one is absolutely awesome. The artwork is fantastic on all of these figures. I absolutely love it. Really sort of retro comic book style, and you've got that comic book grey and black in the background. Yeah, just absolutely cool, really nice. What would he cost you in 2022? Well, the asking price is 30 UK pounds, that's $39 or 51 Canadian dollars, and the selling price was exactly that just recently, of 30 pounds. That's 39 US dollars or 51 Canadian dollars. So there's your prices, guys. He did also sell for $16.99 in America recently as well. Guys, if you're buying it from America, you've got to remember to add that postage and that import tax on if you're over in the UK, and the same if you're in Canada. I'm not adding any of that in anymore, guys. I am literally just doing the figure prices because I've got a baby now, new little baby. I've got Alfie to take care of, my other son. I've got a job. It just takes me far too much time, so I'm just giving you the asking prices and sold prices. I hope that's okay with you guys. I hope you appreciate that these videos can take a lot of time, not only in the research but in the editing and those kind of things. With all that said, let's jump into the second figure in this lineup. Next up, I have got the Silver Surfer. So this was the first Silver Surfer. There would be a second one released in this toy line, but this one here is the first one. Let's take a close look at him. He is pretty basic as far as figures go. There's no articulation in the elbows. Again, there's articulation in the knees. He is a quite basic sculpt. He definitely looks better on the artwork than he does in the figure, but he has a cool sort of skateboard that sort of you can pull back and it will go skating along the floor. So that's pretty cool because it's kind of got wheels on the bottom. And it's a typical 90s toy, but you've got to remember, without these toys we wouldn't have legends and things like that. So I absolutely love these 90s toys. What would the Silver Surfer cost you today? Well, the asking price currently is $19.99. That's 27 US dollars or 34 Canadian dollars. And the most recent selling price for this one was $16.99, which is 23 US dollars or 29 Canadian dollars. Again, guys, there's no postage included in that, but yeah, a pretty awesome first ever, I believe this is the first ever Silver Surfer. I don't believe he was part of the Secret Wars, which was licensed by Mattel. Next up, of course, is the Incredible Hulk. Let's take a close look at this one. He is absolutely awesome. Again, the artwork is fantastic. I love all of these artworks on these boxes. This one comes with a giant boulder that you can hurl, like a giant rock, and of course a metal bar which he can sort of bend, and which is a pretty cool feature, I think. This one here is a pretty cool fig for the time period, for the 90s, and I absolutely love it. Absolutely awesome. I've got one here which is loose, and you can sort of see this little pull tab on the back, and if you pull that tab, there you go, you can bend sort of that iron rod, no problems, because of course he's the Hulk. Of course, later on throughout time, we've had some amazing Hulk figures, but this is possibly the earliest one we ever had, because again, I don't think he was in the Secret Wars lineup, from, if I can remember off the top of my head. So yeah, he is a really cool action figure. What would the Hulk cost you? Well, in the UK, the asking price is £27. That's 36 US dollars or 46 Canadian dollars. But the most recent sale price was for just 20 UK pounds. That's $27 or 34 Canadian dollars. So there is your Incredible Hulk. Next up, we've got your friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man, of course, in this lineup. Let's take a close look at him. He is pretty basic. Of course, he was brought out in the Secret Wars Mattel line, but here he is by ToyBiz. This is their first, pretty much their first interpretation of him as far as I'm aware. But he does come with this cool sort of gimmick, even though he lacks articulation. He comes with a cool gimmick of these sort of suction cups. And if I remember rightly as a kid, I either pulled mine off or they fell off over time. And of course he come with a Spider-Man web, which is pretty cool. Now, has some of this sort of ToyBiz, like we've seen with the Tobey Maguire action figures where they've gone absolutely rocketed off, has that sort of rubbed off on this Spider-Man? Well, sadly not. The asking price for him is just 36 UK pounds. That's 48 US dollars and 61 Canadian dollars. Of course, that's just the asking price. The most recent sale price that I could find for this figure was just £7.50. That's 10 US dollars or $12.86 if you're in Canada, of course not including postage, but that is really cheap. So goes to show you can still pick some of these figures up for really not a lot of money, and by doing so you own a little bit of toy history and a really rather cool collectible. Next up in this line, we've got Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, the anti-hero. Let's take a close look at him. He is absolutely awesome. I mean, he comes with all these different guns, like a Tommy gun, an assault rifle, an Uzi, and of course your normal standard handgun. He is absolutely awesome, and his gimmick is absolutely amazing. So on his back, he has almost like a lever, and if you remember, because most kids from the 80s and 90s would have had cap guns, you would put a paper cap in the back, pull the little lever, almost like one of those cap guns, and bang, he would make a gun firing noise. Of course, if you're in the 70s, you probably had spud guns, but in the 80s and 90s, we definitely had cap guns, that's for sure. Of course, I'm only joking. If you're in the 70s, I'm sure you guys had cap guns too. Yeah, so what would the Punisher cost in 2022? Well, the asking price, I couldn't find any. There is none of this particular figure for sale at the moment. There's the later released one in the next series where he's got the trench coat, but this particular one, there were none. However, I did find a recent sold one of this particular figure, and that was for £24.82 if you're in the UK, $33.60 if you're in the US, and $42.55 if you're in Canada. And of course, that is not included postage. So there you are. There is the Punisher. Up in our lineup of Marvel superheroes, we have the Daredevil, Matt Murdock. Let's take a look at this very early 1990s figure. He is really cool. At first, I thought the body sculpt had been sort of reused. They'd used it on different figures from this wave, but they hadn't actually. When I looked at it carefully, I couldn't sort of match it up. They've definitely gone for different details. Again, artwork is absolutely awesome. Sadly, this one's slightly yellowed, but he did come with this super cool grappling hook type style billy club, which I think is really cool. So there is Daredevil. Now, what would you look to pay in 2022? Well, Daredevil comes in at £33.61. That's 45 US dollars or 56 Canadian dollars. That's the asking price, but the actual sold price recently was just $19.99. That's 27 US dollars or 34 Canadian dollars. So you do notice this, that a lot of these sort of sell for less than what they are being asked for. However, these sort of sold prices are the most recent sold prices. As I went back further, they had sold for a lot more, you know, sometimes £15, £20 more. So it just depends at the time. I think when these go up for bid, you've got a great chance of getting them at a very reasonable price. Next up, we've got Victor Von Doom. So Dr. Doom, let's take a look at him. A really badass villain. Of course, he's going to be making his way into the MCU at some point again, and I keep saying it, but I can't help but say it. This artwork is absolutely awesome on these boxes, and I really like the face detail on this one. It is really cool. He has a really cool gimmick, and that is his right arm spins, and he can sort of fire off this sort of spinning sort of disc drill sort of piece that he holds in his hand. So I think that's pretty cool. a decent little gimmick. And I do love the fact that ToyBiz had all these cool toy gimmicks, and it's something we got to know as toys went through. As you've seen my other videos, a lot of the X-Men figures, Iron Man figures, they all had their own little gimmicks, and I think if you were growing up, it was really cool to have that gimmick. And I mean, this is back when a time when toys were sort of, people have always struggled. There's always been financial issues for families and things, but this was back at a time when you could definitely afford one or two of these figures. You'd get some for Christmas or something like that, possibly. So unlike today, I mean, if Alfie wants a legend, you're looking at £26 plus. These were just £3.99 back in the day, and you could argue, well, that's inflation, but it really isn't. I mean, they're just charging so much nowadays as opposed to before. So ran over, let's have a look at what he would cost you in 2022, where the asking price is £35, which is $47 or 60 Canadian dollars, and the most recent sold price was £35, $47 or 60 Canadian dollars. So yeah, the asking price and the actual latest sold price are the same, which is kind of cool when you do this sometimes, and it just makes my life a bit easier. So there is Doctor Doom. And last and not least of the action figures, that is Dr. Octopus. Now sadly mine has come apart, but let's take a closer look at him anyway. I am going to have to replenish him. He is a pretty cool figure. I am actually just going to pull this out and we'll take a look, because if he's out we may as well have. All of his tentacles are down now. Is so stiff, it's basically like brand new. It's never been out of the packet. But there we are. These are really cool because they've got like a wire in them, and so even though all his tentacles are down the bottom, if I just start moving around these, he comes with what you see here, guys. He comes with two plungers and he comes with two sort of claws, and I think that is a really awesome 90s action figure. Of course, we did get a massive improvement when they brought out the Spider-Man animated TV series Waves. I love that Doc Ock. That was absolutely fantastic, and that one had sort of a button on the back which pulled and retracted the tentacles, if you like. But there is your 1990s version. Basic, but I don't know, I just really like him. I mean, he looks like his comic book counterpart as well. If you read comics, you'll recognize that face. I mean, I know when I was looking through some Secret Wars comics the other day, this was definitely the sort of style of Doc Ock in that comic. What would he cost you in 2022? Well, he comes in at $29.99. This is the asking price, of course, which is $39 US or 31 Canadian dollars, and the most recent sale price, and I could cry right now, was just 8 UK pounds. That's 10 US dollars or $13.72 if you're in Canada. I do need to get another one of these, so this is something I am definitely going to be hunting for, because sadly this one's come out of his box. But this is absolutely, this is to me is toy gold. This is what you often hear me at the end say, good luck searching for that toy gold. This is toy gold to me. Anything like this is absolutely fantastic. I think it's phenomenal. It's like I say, toy history, charm, just really cool. Yeah, absolutely love it. So I thought I'd show you guys the back of the box here. As you can see, each character has been animated, drawn on, rather than the actual figures themselves, which I think is pretty cool. But normally nowadays we see, and we did see with ToyBiz as well, pictures of the actual figures. There's the training centre, which sadly I don't have, the turbo coupe, and take note of the dragster colours there on the back of this, because when it eventually arrived, it was in sleek red, like this one here. If I push this little button at the back, that will shoot the flying disc off the top. A really nice slick red dragster. The Amazing Spider-Man written on the side in that bright vibrant yellow. Really cool. We lift up this little pod just to release the Spider-Man, and there he is with just one plunger. Inside the actual dragster itself, it's just a basic sort of sticker for the cockpit and a little chair there for Spidey. And we have this pull away bit which pulls and you can attach it, and I guess it would have dragged the dragster along. I'm not a big fan of vehicles for Spidey for obvious reasons, but over time I have picked these up as they've come up. So how much is the Spider-Man dragster going to cost you? Well, the asking price at the moment, the current asking price, the cheapest one I could find was £59. That's 79 US dollars or 101 Canadian dollars. You can find it being asked for just 30 UK pounds. That's 41 US dollars or 51 Canadian dollars. And that is second hand. In case you don't know what second hand that means it's being used by someone else, so it's already been opened, which is exactly what this one was when I picked him up. And this one cost me, and I just picked it up recently, 20 UK pounds, so that really isn't a great deal. You could definitely look to pick this one up for around that £30 mark, $41, 51 Canadian dollars. I don't think that's too much if you need to add this one to your collection. Next up, starting with the box, we've got Captain America's Turbo Coupe with this super cool glider wing that shoots out from inside and a battering ram shield. It is absolutely awesome. Really nice Turbo Coupe. This thing looks fast, looks cool. Is in that red, white and blue, which is absolutely awesome. Even the wheels, I just love everything about this. If I push this button on the front, the spring-loaded shield battering ram just fires straight out the front, which is really cool. And it is a pretty decent gimmick and feature of this sort of play vehicle. And in the inside here now, if I lift this away, we've got that glider that fires out so Cap can get to safety before his car is blown to smithereens or whatever the case may be. Really cool. On the bottom here, there's a set of wheels. I'll just pull them out. It's a bit tricky with one hand, but as you can see, Cap can just glide away on this thing to safety. So there we have the Captain America Turbo Coupe. What would you pay for this? Well, 96 UK pounds, that's 129.95 in the US dollars and 164 Canadian dollars. But I can tell you the most recent selling price was just 26 UK pounds, that's 35 US dollars or 44 Canadian dollars. Now this does not come up very often, however I have seen it sell on private groups and sites such as Jurassic Coast collectibles, for example. I have seen this sell on there for around the £25 mark. So you do see these come up, and I do think if you collect this sort of thing and you see it for a really great price, don't hesitate, pull the trigger, because the asking prices for these on your big selling site eBay can be astronomical. And finally, and this is an absolute grail, this is the Punisher van. We've got pull down guns from that front grille. We've got some sort of slicing discs on the wheels to chop up enemy vehicles. We've got a gun in the top with the Punisher out there shooting away. We've got a massive trailer with a giant gun on the back. Of course, it's all going to be guns and rocket launchers and that sort of thing with the Punisher. And we've got that cool descale on the side and on the top and on the back doors. And inside the back doors is like an arsenal of machine guns and handguns and everything else as well. So it is an absolute driving arsenal of weapons for the anti-hero, the Punisher, to take down all the villains that come across in his path. Now there is the attack tower, guys, and the training center, which I don't have at the moment. There's also showing you the Cage Rage that came out at the time and some dress up sets. When I do get that attack tower and training center, I will do a separate review on those guys. And finally, and technically not part of this series, the 1991 ToyBiz Punisher van. They also used this as a Joker van for the Batman DC line. But this is an absolute grail when it comes to toy collecting, especially a sealed one in a box without the stickers on, that kind of thing. Absolutely a grail. This one would set you back, or the current asking price is 480 UK pounds, that's 650 US dollars and 822 Canadian dollars. The most recent sale was in, I believe, January, for 332 UK pounds. That's 449 US dollars or 569 Canadian dollars. This does not come up often, even secondhand. It could be very pricey, very difficult to get hold of. If you do see one out in the wild or see one up that is cheaper than the prices I've just told you, absolutely grab this if you are a fan of this stuff, because this is absolutely awesome. And I'm not going to open it all up and show you guys, because the reason being is I've already done a video on this. This was one of my first ever YouTube videos. I'll pop a card up now. You can go back and have a good laugh at me when I first started out in YouTube, but this video is still on there. And I go into depth and have a really good look at this there. So if you want to do that, guys, then you're more than welcome. So there we are, guys. That is the 1991 ToyBiz Marvel Superheroes First Series toy line. Do you have any of these? Let me know in the comments. Of course, there was a big training centre and also a smaller sort of training sort of outpost, if I remember rightly, which I don't have either of. They are two grails that I am still searching for, but when I do get them, you can be sure I will review them on my channel, and I think I'll be able to take a bit of time and sort of show you all the features of them as well, which will be really cool. So yeah, a great toy line. Definitely a great start for ToyBiz, acquiring the Marvel sort of license and making these toys. Of course, that went on to X-Men and Spider-Man and so much more that we all got to love growing up during our childhood. So hopefully this has brought some nostalgia for you. Let me know what you think. Until next time, guys, good luck searching for that toy gold.